Good morning. I figure we'll start by just introducing our current monarchy that we have here. So we were here last year doing our pre-bid, and so we'd like to complete that here with the final bid that we'd like to present to you. I'm currently our Prince Dogboy, our regent.
I'm Kaylin.
Gabriel, who's helping as another one of our arts and science leaders. So they're apparently teaming up and doing a lot of work for us on the arts and science side. Our Prime Minister, Cyric, and our Chancellor, Cyric. So we'll cover quite a few things, and I'd definitely like to get any questions or concerns that anyone might have. The Northern Lights, we're a Washington-based principality comprised of 6 lands. If you kind of just want to follow through the bid here, right? We give a nice introduction page. We just show it's just one of the many group pictures that we take. We like to make sure to show that we're active, we're full, we have a lot of people that are ready to play this game and very excited about this. Next, we've just kind of listed out all of our court officers so that you can see we're here, we understand, we want to fulfill all the positions that we have, and we make sure that going forward through all of our reigns that we're participating as a full kingdom should. List out all of our guild masters, all of our website and contact information that we have for our communication medium, and how we communicate within our lands. Beyond that, this has been one of the big things that's come across because overall regionally we've always been the Pacific Northwest, and there's not been a lot more distinction behind that, so I want to make sure that this is something that we clearly address. We are a Washington-based principality. Our kingdom seat stands in Seattle, Washington. It's about 170, 180 miles north of our parent kingdom, Blackspire, which resides in Portland, Oregon. There were once 2 kingdoms in the Pacific Northwest. This is true. These are 2 kingdoms that were based in Portland, Oregon at that time, which is why there was potentially some back and forth that was had at this point. This new presentation that we are asking for at this point is much more remote, across state lines, dealing with different NPO laws, dealing with different geographical locations in a fairly major fashion. The red circle that we've outlined here is actually just our 150-mile radius that we have kind of from our kingdom seat. You'll actually notice that in Kelso, Washington, our furthest south, most southern land is actually just outside that 150, but that is of course part of our principality. Everyone within our principality has voting rights, running rights, and that's one of our lands, which is also just another very strong presentation that has a lot of veterans and leaders from our group. Through this graph that they've built out for us, they've shown kind of the distance between each individual land that they have listed there, so you can kind of get an idea. Between, say, for example, Inland Ocean and Midland Hills is about 131 miles. Inland Ocean and IO and SM 36, so on and so forth. So you can kind of get an idea of the gauge and the distance between our lands. Following that, we actually just go to give a detailed listing of each of our lands right now. Inland Ocean is one of our baronies. That is our kingdom seat because it's in Seattle and is fairly centralized to our principality itself. Each one of our lands kind of brings a unique aspect to our principality, so we have different strengths that each one of our lands can provide so that we can make a good community as a whole. Inland Ocean pulls somewhere between 20 and 30 people on its average. It's a good, strong barony. We currently have our monarchies listed out there as well, and we're meeting every Saturday. We try and stagger our groups Saturdays and Sundays that are close to each other so that we have the opportunity to play 2 days a week, and so that we're not stepping on each other's toes for just our local game days. The next land that we have mentioned is Shrouding Mist. That's actually where our regent is from. That's down in Tacoma, Spanaway, Washington. And they're actually another one of our baronies that's going somewhere around the 20 to 30 range at this point. And actually cusping back to be chomping at the bit, moving back towards duchy status. We've got several that are close to that, but to be quite candid, we didn't want to go chasing our parent kingdom and try and bolster our land definitions, be it barony versus duchy. Right, we want to just show you our solid numbers right now and know that we do have several lands that are cusping back up to the duchy level because of the activity we have in individual parks. So that actually represents that particular. And then Greenwood Keep, just a little bit further south in Olympia, Washington. That's the capital of the state. It's a shire. It actually has had its ebbs and flows, but it's actually back up at the 15-20 mark right now, so it's a very strong shire. Not quite at the barony level again yet, but they're moving forward, and with the support that our principality is managing to give, they're actually making a great, strong case as well. Gypsy Hollow is actually our northernmost land. They hold our northern border up in Everett, Washington. Another one that is actually chomping at the bit. They're pushing about 35 to 40 players. So we had potential cause to ask for them to be considered duchy, But again, we wanted to come here and just represent with what the actuality that we have it is at this moment. But 35 to 40 players. This is one of our newer parks, and they have just exploded. They're doing phenomenal. They've got a good set of veterans there that are helping to run and build the land, show the new kids how to play. But the excitement and enthusiasm that is there, they've got huge role-play games. They're doing quests all the time. They've actually developed a monetary system that they play within their games so that they're in character all the time. It doesn't matter if they're in a game, out of a game. They've always got their sessions. They're bartering, they're trading. It's amazing to go up there. I mean, just the enthusiasm and the feel of that park is incredible for our northern hold. So we're really pleased to present Gypsy Hollow as well. Dragons of Fire Valley is in Centralia, Washington. It's actually one of the smaller places along the I-5 corridor in Washington State. They're one of our shires and actually being given a lot of support from our other lands because they're right in between our Greenwood Keep, which is Olympia, just north of them, and then below them we have we'll cover next Mineral Hills, one of our most veteran lands. Dragons of Fire Valley, while it is a shire, has a great leadership ability and several veterans, again, who are standing up to really show how to take care of the leadership section of this and bring new and invigorating young players to our hold. So it's showing that we've got a lot of our veteran status and leadership that can juggle and take care of both the principality or kingdom level at that stage, as well as individual land levels. And we have dynamics of players who are starting to come up into that, not quite into those leadership roles, but have been in the game for several years now, all the way down to our newest and most exciting, exuberant new kids, the 14 and 15-year-olds that just want to come out and swing home and have the greatest time they can. Moving beyond that, now we have Mineral Hills. Mineral Hills is our southern border, and I believe one of the longest standing groups that we have in the Pacific Northwest. They're another one that is pushing 40 to 45. They should be a duchy, again, very soon. But we didn't want to just come in here and try and throw these new stats at you. So again, one of our southern tips that really holds down the stronghold at the bottom and helps to bring support up to our smaller groups to really show the full scope of what Amtgard can be to some of our younger lands. So that's the 6 groups just overall to kind of let you know what each of them offers and brings to the table. Next, we've had our Prime Minister and some of our other leaders who are not necessarily in monarchy want to kind of outline what the Northern Lights is doing. So when we presented last year, we were already at 6 months or so where we were able to show that we're meeting the 75 players in one park at one time once a month, right? They built out where we have what's called our Northern Lights Travel Day, and that's the big push where we want to bring all of our lands to one particular land, and we try and cycle that through all of our lands so that each person gets to feel what that full event is like. But then we also have what's called a Spotlight Day, and that's just to a second travel day within that month where we're going to take it to a different unique land so that that unique land can show what they want to represent for that particular travel. What that's actually built up to is we're hitting 75 on our Northern Lights Travel Day every time. And we're hitting 75 plus on our Spotlight Days almost every time. So I mean, we're bringing twice a month. And at first it was because that's what Kingdom Stats required. At this point, to be quite fair, it's become a system that we've incorporated, we've built, and we found works, built a strong community, and built an enjoyable and fun Amtgard that everybody wants to come and be a part of. I mean, Amtgard's more fun when you have 100 people there, right? So it's something that, I mean, this is not going to stop regardless of how our vote goes today, regardless of how we're doing. This is the platform that we're building on at this point, that our monarchies are taking going forward to show that we can build this. So the top graph is just showing, right, you'll notice that each month maybe has two entries. Any one where it's red is just simply showing that we didn't hit 75 that particular day. But in blue is showing we're 75 plus on any given. And then the lower is just we've taken our best one from each month to show that we definitely are hitting the 75 plus once a month at minimum. And you can see how most of the time we're doing it even more than that. Beyond that, we wanted to make sure that it is shown, and it's a very busy graph that we have, but this is just individual park attendance. On any given day, what you're going to see players in Washington at their own individual place, right? What they're running by themselves. So not necessarily all in one spot, but each individual land. We've got well over 100 players running at any given moment on any given weekend in Washington. So it's a very active and dense population. From what we're seeing in kingdom statuses, we're not geographically going to be the largest kingdom that we would be asked to be, right? We're only about 170 to 180 miles tip to tip. but I like to see that that's a pretty dense population we have within that area that we can bring, so it's all pretty close together, and has built quite a community where we can come and all want to play and see each other, right? It's friendships and the relationships that are built there is what will drive those kingdoms and those lands to want to see each other. The young kids from Gypsy Hollow at our northern tip are dying to see all their buddies down at Micro Hills at our southern tip, and are willing to go anywhere in between to make that happen. And then the total land audit, you can see this broken down in a single graph, just showing how many players are playing in Washington, not necessarily at a single place, but in Washington at any given time, right? You're 139, 167. So I mean, we're throwing out large numbers, and we've got a very active group down here. And then they have put together in words there. I don't want to read to you verbatim here, but if there's questions on that, please let us know at the end here. And then, of course, this actually is more of a printout for what we have on our electronic website, nwamtgard.com. It's just showing our signings for each day that we've got of representation of the physical numbers and the paperwork behind what each event is accomplishing. And it talks about our schedule and what these events meant and what they were doing when we all came together. And that actually kind of takes place over the next page. The next section here is actually the two major events that we run a year, right? So we want to make sure that we've got at least two that every year are going to happen, just like there's a spring war, just like there's a Pacific